Today I'm taking you on a journey of my number one best selling product, which is called Tidal Wave. Tidal Wave is a sea salt spray. And I'm gonna kind of go over the journey of when I first came out with Tidal Wave and how I was one of the first to come out with a sea salt spray, not just as an influencer, but actually a real hairstylist. And now everyone and their catfish has a sea salt spray. Random influencers, Alibaba products and all sorts of stuff that there's no real brand, no credibility, nothing, no authenticity. And that's what we're dealing with. That's what I'm up against. That's my competition. So let's go way back in time to when I first launched my hair care company. And I did it because I used to work for major companies like L'Oreal and Paul Mitchell. When I first started my YouTube channel, I actually was posting a lot of my videos and people were asking me, what products are you using? And I was like, oh, I'm using this from this brand. It was really like one or two products from brands I was working with or very familiar with. And every single video, and I'm like, after a while, I said to myself, wait a minute, people actually care about what I have to say? Like they want to purchase products or know what I'm suggesting? I'm like, I need my own stuff. Why am I making other companies money when I'm not even getting anything from it? So I said, I need to create my own stuff. And this was a long time ago. I had found somebody, I'm based in New Jersey, I had found an individual who unfortunately has passed on since, but I found a local guy who was manufacturing products and I said, I want a hair shampoo, a hair conditioner, a gel, and some sort of like hair cream, like 4 products, like something so simple. I'll never forget, I think I still have the bottle with the original shampoo. Made the shampoo all from scratch, and he actually made it for me right there. He's like, oh, here it is, and bam, test it out. It was way too drying on the hair, then he tweaked it. And he was gonna invest in the products themselves. I was gonna do my thing on YouTube because I was so new. I was one of the first people in the salon industry to create a YouTube channel and to go that route of being a media personality. I said, I'll be the face of it. It'll be my company. I'm already growing. You fund the manufacturing and we'll work out some sort of deal. A year goes by and then all of a sudden he decides to back out. And I says, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. And then I was like, oh, forget hair products, man. I'm done with this. Like, F this, I'm done. So then I started seeing, I'm like, you know what? Like, I can't give up on this. So I started going online and searching like how to manufacture hair products. And I saw all these companies and I'm like, oh my gosh. And we can make a product for you and this and that. So I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And I remember talking to a representative from this one company and the person was like, yeah, these are exclusively made for you. We have these formulas that we already can make and then we can, make them for you. I didn't really understand what that meant. Now, coming from working for companies that were making their own stuff, like L'Oreal and Paul Mitchell, I was just used to like labs and, all that kind of stuff. And so I was assuming, oh, it's like a hair lab, kind of like how L'Oreal has and Paul Mitchell and all these big companies. I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna make stuff for me? This is phenomenal. And then I started learning about the pricing of it. And so I said, I want to come out with a hair care line, TheSalonGuy, have my own hair products. And because I was building an audience for myself, I started the TheSalonGuy 15 years ago. So when I was first coming out with this, I actually had pre-orders and I couldn't believe the amount of people who pre-ordered my products because of like, here's my line. Now, the company I was dealing with, they only worked with hair professionals, only worked with salons. They were really known in the industry, and most salons use them because they wanted to have their own line. So I became one of the first, and then I discovered another huge brand who was, using them, the same company. They were a big public brand as well. I didn't realize that until I learned later on. I'm like, wait a minute, these are the same products this company is using, and they're making like millions and millions of dollars, and I have that. Like, I had no idea. Make a long story short. I launched my line, and then they didn't make certain types of products, and I was like, I want to come out with like a sea salt spray. I remember using a sea salt spray as a hairstylist, and the first one I ever used, it was literally like spraying a Brillo pad onto someone's hair. The product still exists to this day. in my opinion, it was so harsh and so drying. I can't even believe that this product even sells, because to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes the hair feel like awful. It was so sea salty and so drying to the hair. And I was like, okay, I guess this is like cool. So I said, I want to have a sea salt spray because I want something that's going to add some texture, some light volume. So I found a company, same type of situation. I found a company who was going to, we can make one just for you. And they were located in the United States. And that's where this was created. The first ever, I found this, I have a couple of these laying around and have a travel size as well. This may look familiar to you, and I'll get into not very specifics, but some specifics about this right here. And I was like, I want to launch this. And when I launched it, a good, I would say, year and a half went by where it was like not really a super popular product. It was okay. Not the most popular. Like I said, everyone and their pet goldfish has a sea salt spray now, where this was like, wasn't that great. It was a good product, but wasn't that great. So then, a year goes by, a year and a half, and all of a sudden I see like, a specific individual on YouTube who also has a company, I'm going to come out with a sea salt spray. And I was like, why is this person coming out with sea? And literally the only reason that the person said I'm coming out with sea salt, because it's cool. Like, there's other sea salt sprays out there, so I don't know, it's cool. I want a sea salt spray. I'm like, that's the reason why coming out. And again, these are people who never spent a day as a hair professional, just influencers, no credibility whatsoever as far as hair goes. Good looking people, nice hair. That's how you want to, get far in life, just have nice hair and be good looking. That's all you need. So then I was like, interesting. The TikTok trends just came out, right? And I jumped on the TikTok trends. I started doing haircuts and hair tutorials of TikTokers. And then I started saying, I'm using my sea salt spray, Tidal Wave. Like, this is what you need. This is the perfect spray for this. It started going viral. And you can go back in time and see that I was one of the first people in the salon industry and even on social media to start making this haircut, the TikToker haircut, go viral from a education standpoint as far as teaching it, showing people how to do it. The influencers in LA and all that were getting them, but nobody was like showing how to get it, the haircuts. So I started doing those haircuts. I even went to LA and did cut TikTokers' hair. It's all over social media. You can go back and watch all of it. And I was using Tidal Wave and the sea salt spray. And I was like, this is incredible. And oh my gosh, this stuff is insane. And I was still using this same company. Now, the issue with this company, and they still kind of exist. They got bought out and then, I don't know. But the issue with this company is I didn't realize that they were making products for other companies, okay? AKA private labeling. And I really didn't start to get note of that until people were saying like, oh, your ingredients are the same as so-and-so's. And this is, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is made for me. Then I contacted the company and I said, hey, look, like, people are saying on the internet, like, this is the same formula that so-and-so has. They're like, well, we can't say who we make products for, but like, we can make products for whoever we want. I'm like, but you said you're making exclusive for me. They're like, yeah, exclusive for you, but it's also exclusive for like other brands. I'm like, so you're making the same product for other people? They're like, well, yeah, that's what we do. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? I was so pissed off. And this is just when this started going viral and people were buying it. Now, mind you, the first original sea salt spray that I had, which is this, was still a great product. And I'm just gonna tell you right now that there are companies out there, again, I'm not gonna name names, some are way too apparent and obvious, but that still have this original product that I have. It's the same exact product. There's multiple on Amazon. It's just a different label, a different bottle, whatever it is, naming it whatever you want to name it. There's no credibility whatsoever. When you're taking a name and just slapping it, not slapping, but creating a bottle that no sort of research goes into the product development, it's literally just pay to play. They're manufacturing products for you and you're selling formulas that they have already made and tested, which usually are pretty good because they're in labs and I respect that and they're really, really high quality, really good products. But when it comes to brand credibility and authenticity, there's literally nothing there. I can say Steve's Hair Care, go back to this company and just slap Steve's Hair Care, not even be a hair professional, never cut hair in my life, and just have nice hair, good looks. and launch a company and say, I'm the best hair care brand ever. Dude, it's such a scam. But anyway, there are still companies using this on Amazon and all over social media, becoming rich and famous off of it. Hey, good for them, right? God bless you. But for me, I said, I was so pissed off, and as a hair professional, I said, that's it, I'm done. So I stopped using that company and all those companies, and I started going my own route of making customized products, fully customized, no one else can have them, which is the most recent Tidal Wave, which I've had for a number of years. Even this alone, I've gone through some hiccups with it. Now, the problem with home brewing and customized products like from scratch, I've never been, and still to this day, I'm not a homebrew fan, right? To me, and just as someone who's experienced it firsthand, from inconsistent formulas, mixers being off, product problems where this batch is on, this batch is off, this happens, that happens, it's just an absolute nightmare. That's why labs who have their stuff like these old originals, their products are formulated so perfectly, there's never any hiccups because they have millions of dollars of machines and things that are making the products so good, they're foolproof, right? That's why, just put your name on it, a logo, and there you have a product line. This, however, the one thing about this, all my products for the most part, is I get to really be involved in the creation and the formulation of my products, okay? And I've grown my product company, I've expanded it. Yes, there are other companies out there on Amazon, for example. Once again, they don't own the companies, they're faces of them. You may be fans of those companies, that's super cool. But when you think about it, when you take an individual who has nice hair and good looks and starts a hair product company, what does that even mean? And a lot of these other companies, they say, oh, this is their founding story of why they started. I was tired of going to the drugstore and buying really bad hair products because they were so bad for my hair and contained harsh ingredients. Well, why are you going to the drugstore spending $4.99 on a hair gel anyway? Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't complain if you're going to a drugstore to buy your hair products. It's like going to, a Quick Check or 7-Eleven or some sort of random, my diet is from that store. Like, okay, well, if you're buying food from there, like, what does that say? So the majority, I would say a strong 80% of brands that have never been hairstylists before, the same story across the board. I was tired of using bad hair products that have all these chemicals. Okay, like, that's 90% of people. So for me, it was the opposite. Being a real hair professional, doing thousands of hair tutorials on YouTube, building a media brand, being on national television, being on radio, magazines, red carpet events. Like, we're going 15 years back of a legacy of me and then putting in 30 years into the industry, working for companies like L'Oreal and Paul Mitchell, training at Vidal Sassoon in London. So the difference is I'm actually providing value. You want to have this haircut, right? This popular TikToker haircut. Well, guess what? I have dozens upon dozens of videos teaching how to get this haircut. That's why I went viral. That's why my sea salt spray, all my products, that's why everything started taking off. Now what's happening is, to flip this on the other side, is all these like quote unquote influencers or barber school dropouts, they're all coming out with sea salt sprays because they see, one, it's an easy market. None of them would ever give me credit whatsoever when I'm the OG. Some of them really don't even know who I am. I'm like, dude, I was doing this when you were in diapers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was doing this when you were like just graduating high school and you have no idea what a hair product even, like, nothing about the industry. Now there's a lot of companies out there and influencer brands because they have nice hair, nice abs, and they live in LA and they're like buddy with all these other influencers. Oh, let's create a sea salt spray. And then they get worshipped on TikTok and that's it. You know what I mean? But a lot of times it comes down to, or they're fake gurus, or they're brainwashing you into believing, not even, like, just, they're brainwashing you, okay? If you want to believe that, that's totally cool. Like, buy into that stuff. But when it comes to real street cred, real credibility as far as brand authenticity goes, dude, it's like, I feel like I'm one of the OGs, For example, Gary Vaynerchuk, he follows me on Instagram. I think I'm one of 2 hairstylists that he even follows out of the millions of people he has, Like, I'm in his book, crushing it. He put me in his book. I have a relationship with him. Like, what other hairstylist can say that? All these other influencers who worship him, I don't know, he's not following them. I've built up a lot of credibility that I've earned. That's what goes into my products. So this product right here, and I know this is like story time with Steven, but I really want you to understand where hair products are at and what's going on with them, so you really understand, like, I'm being very transparent with you. None of these brands are gonna actually tell you this stuff because they're gonna be like, oh, I don't wanna give away my top secret that, like, I'm just putting my name on a bottle or a logo on a bottle and this and that. Again, they're making millions of dollars. I see it. Do I wish it was me? Of course. People are just being brainwashed by them. They're good salespeople. So the thing is about, Tidal Wave now is, I would say it's at its peak. It's been this formula for several months. I've made some tweaks to it where I've lessened the amount of the coloring in it, which is FDA approved, right? It's an FDA approved colorant, which goes into food, all sorts of stuff, because I want this to be like the ocean, Tidal Wave. So I've made some tweaks. The scent is a little softer. It's at its perfect state right now. The next thing about Tidal Wave is that you don't need a lot of it. And that's where I formulated it. If you watch a lot of people on social media, influencers, it's like, they're doing like 15, 20 sprays. What does that tell you? And I've even tested a couple of their products. This, you actually need like 3 or 4 spritzes. 1, 2, like 3 to 4 spritzes, 1 for good luck. I formulated it in a way that actually, it's really geared for professionals to use to get volume when blow drying. It just so happens that when you work this into the hair, it soaks up the oils from the hair. It almost acts like a dry shampoo, and you're able to get that volume and texture instantly, just like that. You can see right through here. So, the more you spray it, you're actually ODing on sea salt spray, right? So it's designed where less is more. That's why it's a premium priced, high-end product. The next thing is sourcing the ingredients. This is the sea salt that we use in this is imported from the Dead Sea. The people literally fly to just stand in the water in the Dead Sea because of the benefits, the health benefits. So it's got the highest quality sea salt you can get. And that's what makes this really, really a unique product. If you're looking for volume when blow drying, okay, like actually using a round brush and blow drying women's hair, like you can see dozens of tutorials of me doing that. That's the difference. A real salon quality product and a product made by a hair professional, okay? That's the biggest difference, is the passion, my experience. And that goes into a lot of my products. So Tidal Wave, right now, because of the hype of sea salt sprays, because of all these other influencers, monopolizing it and taking advantage of brainwashing people and teenagers, that's cool, but at the same time, it really comes down to your own personal taste. And I'll never forget this. I was watching an interview with Steve Jobs, rest his soul. And the person doing the interview said to Steve, he goes, Steve, what's the biggest difference between Microsoft and Apple? And I said to myself, whoa, that's gonna be a tough one. And he literally, Steve Jobs sat there for like 10 seconds and he just was like, I said, what's he gonna say? And all of a sudden he comes back and he goes, it's really just a matter of taste. I said, oh my gosh, that was like, just let that hit you. It's a matter of taste. It's just like going back to, why are you going to the store buying your hair gel and shampoo at a drugstore? You're complaining of harsh ingredients, but you're only willing to spend $5.99 on a hair gel at a drugstore. What does that tell you? It's the same exact thing. And that's where I'm getting at with creating quality products and brand authenticity. I'll go up against anybody, I'm not talking about sales money, but authenticity, that's it, man. I have all the street cred. I've put so many years and years of my life into the salon industry. I left the industry. I went to firefighting and law enforcement. I did 6 years. After 9/11, I got out. I was still doing hair on the side here and there. But then after 9/11, I was like, that's it, I'm done. And I got back into the hair industry. My mother passed away, rest her soul, and then that's when I created the Salon Guy 15 years ago, right? Based off of her strength, her courage, everything she went through. based off of my 20-something years in the industry, working for major companies, creating a brand, a social media presence early on, one of the first, and then realizing that there's different ways to make products. Finally, full circle coming around to being able to create my own products from scratch, with a company who I've teamed up with, not partnered. I'm paying for these from manufacturing, not partnered, but teamed up with one. I have multiple manufacturers, but one who really has helped me to perfect things, really works with me, and understands and respects my professionalism and what I put into the products. And I think that also separates me from other brands who use them as well. So I wanted to share this with you all. I know this was a very, very long video, and I appreciate you all for watching. This is what I put into everything that I sell, whether it's a digital product, whether it's my sea salt spray, one of my crafted products, One Clay, all these products. I'm involved 100% in everything. I test them, and I make sure that I would never put my logo, my brand, my trademark on something if I didn't test it and believe in it. And that's where I'm at with my brand, The Salon Guy, and my products. So if you want to support any of my products and purchase them, The Salon Guy, you can see the history of me, TheSalonGuy.com, and then shop.TheSalonGuy.com is where you can purchase any of my products. I really appreciate you watching this. For all the OGs and people who've been following me for many, many years, I really respect you, and I thank you for even ones who purchase my products. It's my audience are ones who don't even comment anything. And then when they finally say, "Oh, Steven, I've been using this," I'm like, "Thank you so much." So I really respect people who do purchase my products and respect what I've done and my authenticity. It means the world to me. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you soon.